So this is going to be the submission video for Blunderbros to AGDQ 2020, and we're starting on a pause screen. I am using the VOD of my PB and world record run because I do want to showcase what the world record is, and it does have every strat, or most strats, not every strat. I think it would probably be the best to use instead of trying for a live one. So I'll start with the timing. We're going to see, we'll do that before we start. The timing will start at the last text box of the file select. When I press A to go past that is when time starts. So we can go. So as you see, after that saved text box, we hit A and we go. Text boxes appear but are instantly skipped. There are more text boxes than what you see. If you were to mash A, you'd see all the text boxes, but by pressing B, it actually skips all the text boxes instantly. So that's actually a pretty good thing. And just starting with basic movement here, you'll see jumping and walking normally are the same speed, but you'll see me jumping in and out of water as well as on that horizontal pole in the beginning there. That is just faster. A little bit of a skip here, a little bit precise, not super precise, but it does allow us to avoid taking that ring thing. Yeah, I would compare it to like the zippers in Pokemon Red and Blue, but very quickly the first level's down. We go on to second level of the game. We'll see the first instance of a kind of a pogo jump off our ears, which allows us to catch this cycle and skip a little bit of the level. Just super useful. Going up vertical poles is actually slower by doing the normal climbing. You can do kind of pole jumps, but they are very precise, so it makes it really risky to go. If you miss it, you'll just fall all the way back down, because the way you do it, you have to jump off left or right a certain distance to come back on and still gain height. So at the end of that level there, I was jumping to hit those birds. What that does, instead of standing and using our attack, we jump because it actually saves end lag. You see it there that we do the same thing. It saves end lag, but this level is pretty straightforward, just going through a bunch of tubes. This isn't actually the fastest route. There is a faster route that we didn't find until after I got this world record, so that is like the one strat that's not in it. Pretty straightforward as we go on to the first boss of the game. And bosses are probably the most difficult part of the game, especially casually, but with enough practice, pretty good. We're going to do something here called Zero Cycle, and that will be mainly towards the end, you'll see. But to start, we step to the left and hit him as he's flying down, and we'll set up on the right side of this bridge platform thing. The reason we do this is because he's going to come flying out of the water, and we get to hit him on his way up and on his way past us. And this is where the first cycle would normally start, but we hit him twice here and kill the boss, effectively ending him before he gets any cycles off. And we go into the second world. You'll see there, every world in the game, except for one, has the same 3 levels and then a boss. We'll talk about the other world. It's coming up next, but this level is pretty straightforward. Some vertical, some horizontal platforming. That bird can be a little tricky, so instead of going under it, I just choose to kill it, because the knockback in this game is actually kind of insane. But it also has kind of a 2.5D mechanic where you can go in and out of doors and things. It's weird. That jump was tricky, but it doesn't really look that way. It is a little difficult, but we get to come up to some of the best levels in the game right now, at least some of the best types of levels, and it's the driving levels. The way I want to say controls is like you move the level around your car, but you know, who knows. And the idea behind this level is, or at least the lore behind this level is, there's a bomb at the end of each of these tracks, and you have to pick up 4 keys to stop the bomb from going up. The keys are, I don't want to call them bad hitboxes. They're actually really good hitboxes. It's just, they can be frustrating given how slippery the controls can be. We'll see, I believe, 3 more driving levels in the game. You have to pick up 4 keys, and each of them, they vary in lengths. But in each one there are obstacles that can hit you. They don't appear until they're about, like, probably half second away from hitting you, so kind of have to have them memorized, like have where they are memorized. But other than that, pretty straightforward. You can jump. Excuse me. You can jump by hitting the R1 or the R button, and you see there, you have to actually hit the bomb to end the level. You can't just kind of go to the end. You have to hit the bomb. It's weird. This level is pretty much just a vertical level. Again, pretty straightforward. We get a power up at the end that can make us fly, but I want to talk about the mini bros. As you see before every level, there is this mini bro select menu. Right now the only mini bro we have is Knuckle. He's not that useful in the speedrun. The reason we don't use them in any levels is because they actually have a small animation at the beginning of each level that if we were to take one into every level, it would be slower. There is 2 that we are going to use. One of them is forced for a level, but other than that, the other one is actually, we go out of our way to get because it is really, really good. And you see there the flying mechanic. Don't know how a dog can fly. That is a dog. It's not a rabbit. I'll say that and argue that forever. It is a dog. And we come up to the second boss. It's actually pretty straightforward. All these bosses are weird combinations of animals and things sometimes. That one's pretty straightforward. Just hit him 5 times and he's dead. Not that hard. And this is the world where it's just one level, but is separated into 3 parts with a mini boss in between the second and third section. And this also brings up the first mini bro that we use, because it is the only way to get through this level. We'll see him in a second here. His name is Neon. He lights up dark rooms. If you were to go into a dark room without him, it would say, it's too dark in here, I'm scared, and you just leave it. So, have to take Neon. And you see, this would be a dark room, but it is lit up now that we have Neon. The bar on the top left under our health is the charge for each of the mini bros. It's not that important to know, but just knowing where it is and knowing how much you have. I'm skipping health there. I used to think damage boosting down these was faster, but it's actually not. It's a little bit slower. Anyways, into another dark room. Speed this up. We normally would have to wait on that platform rising up, but instead doing a pogo jump gets us up there really, really fast. And jumping over most of these enemies just to get them out of the way, or not have to deal with them just a little bit faster than having to do it. And that's the first section down pretty quickly. The second section, pretty straightforward as well. This one, we're going to get a little teaser of the mini bro that we'll be using later on in the run. Right up here. So that power up makes you move pretty fast and also makes you invincible, which also makes you damage enemies. It's really, really good to have, but that is only useful in certain areas. I got hit there, which is not good. It's a small time loss, but it's not that big of a deal. Jumping onto that moving platform is a little precise, but not too difficult. And we come up on a mini boss. It's not a full-on boss. We see this mini boss twice in the game. He can be pretty tricky, especially because these two things he has with them, I don't know what they are, but they can also hit you. But you gotta have good boss fight with him. Wasn't perfect, but was still pretty decent. The one later in the game is a lot harder, as are pretty much every other bosses in the game. Every boss from here on out is a lot harder than the first two we saw. We get our first instance of a diagonal pole beam thing, which actually goes faster than walking or anything else. We have to hit the switch up here to open the gate on the other side of this dark room. And you see I'm pogo jumping to get as much height off or onto these vertical poles. Just a slight optimization. It's not entirely necessary. And again, jumping on the horizontal beams is the same as your normal walking speed, which is faster than if you were to just climb across them. There are small optimizations in there to not get hit by enemies falling down those like large gaps, or those large holes, whatever. I don't know what exactly to call them, but just small optimizations there. Get the flying power up again. That might be the last time we see it. I'm not 100% sure. I think it is. But that also brings us to the end of the level. There's extra life there. Didn't need to pick it up. And we move on to a world called First Heaven. There are two driving levels in this game. This first one, or in this world, excuse me. This first one is on a pretty tight timer. If you were to die at all, you wouldn't have the time to make it to the end. And once again, there are enemies. These ones move, but they're usually in the same place every time you get to them. And again, jumping over them is probably the best way. You saw one there. It kind of popped up right as I jumped. And I jumped because I knew it was going to be there. I just knew there was one there. There are these kind of boost pad things that do make you go fast, but also because the controls are so slippery, it makes you pretty much almost always just bang into the walls, which is bad because it slows you down and usually makes you go in the opposite direction that you want to go in. But pretty clean level, picked up all 4 keys. And you see we have a minute left, so the timer's not that tight if you don't die or if you don't get hit, but if you were to die, it would be. These next 2 levels are really quick. And I think driving levels would actually be a really good spot for like donation ratings during the actual run. If it were to get in. There are also some levels like this level, and there's an auto-scroller later in the game that would be very, very good for donation readings. I think this whole world could probably be donation readings if we wanted it to be. But yeah, that level pretty quick, but there is optimization in there. We skip a lot of entering and exiting doorways as we go to a really, really quick driving level. As you see the timer, it's 1 minute in-game time, but by cutting corners and just taking direct paths to all the keys, it's 20 seconds, not even, I guess 15 right now. Yeah, 13 seconds. Really, really quick, but we get on to the third boss, which is Hippo Bat. It is a hippo and a bat. It's also Batman, apparently. I don't know. But we can talk about the route. You get the option to do 2 different worlds here, and I used to do a different route where I would go into the world I'm about to go into, Fog, first, to get the mini bro to help out with that boss fight. But instead, I just go to first heaven right away. It doesn't really make a difference, and the mini bro doesn't save that much time in the boss fight. It's not worth the menuing time, I guess. Fog 1 is a tough level because of the gravity mechanics in this, I guess. It's the only way to put it. The gravity is as if you were on the moon. These flying asteroid things can be tough, but there is a pretty good route that can get me through the level pretty quickly. But yeah, it's just a slow level, and yeah, not much going on. It's just trying to make your way through the level pretty quickly. So I do want to have full health here after this level, because there is a mini boss, the harder mini boss, coming up in the next level. This level is really quick, and kind of taking a shortcut by going right off that ring to put me right at the end of the level, pretty much. There is a setup for this mini boss, however. If you mess it up, it can be really, really bad, but I'll explain it the best I can right now. So you'll see from the start of the fight, it starts right away. You're going to want to move halfway between where Blunder is. Blunder is the name of the dog. You want to go halfway between the two and start hitting him, and then once he punches you back, you want to jump over him and start hitting him again. And this is pretty much set up for a perfect fight. He starts jumping there, and you just get the hit. That was really close because I took a hit unintentionally there, but thankfully it was not that big of a deal. Going through the rest of the level, as I said, you do get the mini bro we're going to use. His name is Spish, S-P-I-S-H. But you saw with the sprint power-up thing, the power he gives you, it comes in use a lot. And we use him in almost every level until the end of the game, all but one. And I'll explain that as we kind of get there. But he's coming up in that platform above us right now that you may have saw for a second. He's there. We do have to wait out this energy ball. I don't know what it is. It's a ball of electricity. But you can see here, we get him. He's instantly equipped because we don't have another mini bro equipped, and we pick up the health as the next level is a boss. So just moving on right to the end of the level, it's right at this doorway here, and we go into the next boss, Carby. I don't know why it's named Carby, it's just a bee. The way Carby moves is when you jump, she moves upwards, which can be really deceiving because you might think, oh, you might want to not fully jump so she won't gain as much height. But actually, full jumping is the way to go, and it creates for a really easy fight if you do full jump. But that was a really, really good Carby fight, almost perfect. But yeah, and you saw a use of Spish there at the end just to get that last hit. The good thing about Spish in boss fights is you can hit bosses right out of their invincibility frames. So once their invincibility frames end, you get the hit, which, unless you have some insane timing or just, you're a human task, isn't really possible. We use them in this level to get by those guns on this ship here. They're pointed inwards, which makes them really hard to avoid, but off cooldown, pretty much we use Spish just to get by them because he does make us invincible and he does damage. And to beat that level, you actually have to take out every single thing on that ship. But now we get into the auto scroller, Again, this is the level where I was saying it would probably be good to have donations reading. It's a pretty long auto-scroller. The only thing to mention here is there is a health pickup. It gives you 1 extra health. So instead of the 3 right now, it would give us 4. I don't pick it up because it's not necessary, and honestly I think it's harder getting to it and picking it up than it is to go without it. You saw there that pig was kind of at the end of the platforms as I went up the rings. If you hold right on that ring, you actually get hit and fall back into the spikes following us, which would make us die. So always got to remember not to hold right there. That pig can be kind of annoying too. But coming up towards the end, a pretty long stretch of just gates and enemies. Really isn't that useful at all. Nothing really to talk about here. But we do go into the second to last boss of the game now. His name is Tiger Boar. He is, whoa, there's a whole nother level. Excuse me. This level, I actually want to talk about this level because this level is one of my favorite in the game. It's, I mean, not super difficult, and it's not like super interesting. I just really enjoy it. Don't enter that doorway, it's a trap. But we're going to see 2 straight uses of this power up here, one from a pickup and one from Spish. Then we wait here. You get to throw things across that 2.5D plane, and it's useful to hit buttons. I don't know why. I don't know why it's a mechanic, but it is. Climbing up this diagonal pole is hard, but not that hard. I don't know. Probably harder than it looks. But yeah, coming up to the end of the level. Pretty sure I said in my PB. I do apologize for not having in-game sounds, but I was talking over this during the run, and I wanted kind of fresh commentary. But I'm pretty sure in my PB run, I was like, right here, I was like, if I don't get hit, I'm really okay going to the last boss fight, and then immediately I get hit. So, kind of unfortunate, because this boss can be really tricky. He has one attack that actually does 2 hearts of damage, which right now would kill me, and he also has a lot of health. He's actually kind of tricky. You just want to hit him whenever you can. That's like the only strat, and then avoid his claw thing. His name is Tiger Boar, because he has the face of a boar and a tiger. I don't know. He does this little inhale and then exhale attack thing, but because Spish is up off of cooldown, we get to kill him with some ease. He did bring us down to 1 health, but wasn't that bad. And just like that, we're entering the last world of the game. There is one more driving level, but we'll get to that, I guess, as we go there, because I'll explain how mini bros interact with that. This level's actually really cool. Took a little bit of optimization with Spish usage in this level to really go fast in it. Just making sure you can get through this part with Spish is really, really important. It's just important. It makes you go really fast. Waiting on these poles of electricity, I don't know what they are. It's a long wait, and it's really bad, but good timing with that is we get him off cooldown right there, which lets us go through another one of them and not have to wait, so really good to have him. Now this is the driving level. Driving levels automatically take off your mini bro, and when you don't bring a mini bro into a level, it resets you to the beginning of the Mini Bro menu. Spish is really far to the right side of that menu, so for the next level, instead of scrolling all the way to the right and picking up Spish, since I don't really use him, it's not worth it. It is, I guess it is faster technically. I was going to say it might not be like that worth it because I'm going to have to do the scrolling through the menu anyway, but because of that small little intro animation they have when entering a level, it is just a slight bit faster. Even though it's not that noticeable, it does add up over the course of the run, probably about 10 to 20 seconds in this run, I would say, which, given that it's a 26-minute game, 27-minute game, 26 minutes with this PB, but given the fact that it is so short of a game, it is very, very useful to have. Last level of the game, there is some trickiness in this level coming up right about here. Not this, but these moving platforms can be really, really weird and off-sync. As you can see, they're supposed to meet up in the middle there, but you kind of have to do the pogo jump to get from one to the other, and then pogo jump to that platform just to make it there as fast as possible. It can be tricky. I've missed it plenty of times. I've lost runs. I've lost runs to missing that. And this can be actually pretty difficult at the end here because there are two of those like kind of electric balls. But I found out that dropping below it is actually way easier than trying to jump over it. But with that, we go to the last boss of the game. His name is Buffer Kong. That's his name. His name is Buffer Kong. I don't know what he is. But he'll do this charge attack, which right away we want to use Spish just to hit him. He'll start teleporting around, but pretty much just want to avoid his attacks, hit him whenever he can. You can see here, charging into the walls, pogo jump to avoid the attack, and now he'll do his jumping attack, send these beams across, and you want to pogo jump away from that as well. Coming towards the end of the game here, he'll do this one last energy, take my energy attack, but because of the uses of Spish, whoa, misspoke there, but not that big a deal. Because of the uses of Spish, off cooldown, we get to kill him. He can heal up there, which is really bad, but timing ends the second time he hits the ground after dying, so he'll kind of bounce off the ground the first time, and he'll hit the ground a second time and fall. But that is Blender Bros. And yeah, these are the credits. I don't know if I should let them roll out, but I think I explained pretty much everything I wanted to explain. I'll just run through. I do have notes here. Yeah, I believe... yeah, I got everything. So yeah. Hopefully, I'm hoping this can get into GDQ. I believe it can be maybe like a transition to the awful block, even though I don't find it like an awful game per se. But it is like... it's not as awful as it is more just obscure and strange. But yeah, it's a fun game, and I really enjoy the run, so I'm hoping that it can get into the marathon. And I think it would be a lot of fun to show off, so thank you for watching, and hopefully we will see this game at AGDQ.